welcome back to my channel. So I've got another meals of the week for you. It's actually number 35 now, so if you haven't caught up on all the rest, I will leave the playlist down below that you can go ahead and check those out. I do keep it quite varied, so it's unlikely that you'll see a lot of the same meals every week. And yeah, unfortunately this weekend we don't actually have a takeaway because we had other plans, but instead I am going to share with you a separate adult kind of dinner. So a typical kind of date night when we're not eating with the kids like we normally tend to do most days during the week. So anyway, let's get on into the video. So for my first meal, I'm using up some leftover ham. I've just finely diced it, and I was going to do an omelette, but instead I've also some vegetables lurking around. So I'm using up a courgette, potatoes, celery, brown onion, orange pepper and 2 carrots, and then from the store cupboard a can of butter beans, chopped tomatoes and a jar of passata. And I'm going to make a really nice chunky minestrone soup. So I'm just chopping up all my veg roughly the same size, and every time I make this soup it differs because I do tend to just use up whatever I've got in the house. But the main thing is that it has a strong tomato flavour, and there's also courgette in it. So basically everything goes into the saucepan. Try and get in the saucepan, not the counter like I've done here. But anyway, everything into that saucepan, softening down. I've got some chicken stock here, and I'm going to top it up with a few cubes as well. For the tomato puree and actual 2 tomato plums. I've got bay leaves, thyme, oregano and basil. If you've mixed Italian, you could use that seasoning. Paprika, garlic granules, and then also just all of the potatoes chopped up inside as well. So once it's all browned down, I add in my chicken stock and give it a really good seasoning. Throughout this soup, I do tend to alter it and add more seasoning as I go as well. So everything's a good dose because I'm making quite a big size of this. And then I add in more liquid so that everything's completely covered and can cook away there. I go in with my tomato puree. That's a good 2 tablespoons of tomato puree, my chopped plum tomatoes, and then my cubed up potatoes. It isn't particularly traditional to add in the potatoes, but it's a good way of bulking it out. My jar of passata, my tin of chopped tomatoes as well, and then everything gets a really good mixing through. I'm using a jar of butter beans, and I've kept some of their own juices as well. I'm adding in a few bay leaves, and then this is just going to sit and simmer for hours. The flavours develop as it sits, and then when I'm back from school and after school activities, I then add in the ham. You can leave this out if you want to keep it completely vegetarian, but it definitely does give you a really lovely smoky flavour. So I've given it a really good stir through. A good cup of pasta. You could go for whatever. I've went for shells today, and bear in mind it will soak up those juices, so you don't want to make it too chunky. At this stage I will add more liquid, so you can crumble in a stock cube if you need to for flavouring. Give it a really good mix through, and then that is going to be your soup. If you want, you can freeze this. It freezes very well, and I've just got everyone plated up. Alistair will have his later. The kids had probably about 2 bowls, and Pearl loves this as well. We've got little hot baguettes that I just popped into the oven, some wheaten bread as well, and this is just so cost effective because you can use up your leftover veg and bulk it out with potatoes and pasta as well. So the next day I'm just roasting a chicken, so I've kept it relatively simple, and with the juices I'm making a nice lemony chicken gravy. I've got some veg on the side there. Because it's weekday, I do keep it relatively plain. Now I came across these reduced in the supermarket, so I thought I would give them a try. So they're giant runner beans. Next time I'd remember to top and tail them because they're definitely quite coarse. And we're just having it very simply. Shredded chicken, I've done roast potatoes there, we're having it with carrots, and then that nice lemon gravy. I do like a roast dinner during the week because it's quite easy to just throw in the oven for us, but I do enjoy my Yorkshire puddings on the weekend with cauliflower cheese as well. With that leftover chicken from the roast, I've also done 1 fillet of chicken in the oven, shredded it all down, so we've got a mix of white and brown meat. I've got a few potatoes here, and then a red onion, some garlic. I've got frozen sweet corn, a couple of sliced mushrooms, and then I made some chicken stock with the carcass of the roast yesterday. Whole grain mustard, thyme and tarragon, and I'm going to make a pie filling. It's kind of like a pie filling, or a chicken casserole, basically just something that I throw in and put together that tastes lovely in the end. So I'm browning down all the mushrooms and the red onion with my seasoning. I've also put quite a bit of flour in the base of the saucepan, adding in my chicken, and I always like to start my casseroles or pies like this, giving it a good mix through the flour before I add in my chicken stock. This way it will naturally thicken the gravy instead of adding any corn flour later. And then I add in some more boiling water just so that it's all level. I'm going in with 2 large teaspoons of the whole grain mustard, and you can really get away with the punchy mustard and the tarragon because I am adding in plainer ingredients such as the starchy potatoes. So they're all added in. I've actually done this mid-morning, leaving it then on the hob for a good few hours. The longer you leave this, it tends to taste better. So even if you make it the night before and keep it in the fridge, this also freezes really well as well. And so you will see there that that is the end result. It's really thickened up and that chicken's broken down and shredded lovely. You can make this into a hot pot or layer it with short crust pastry, but we've actually got some puff pastry and we're just having it on the side with plain carrots. The kids love carrots so much, so it's just an easy side for them. And this was really inexpensive because it's using up our leftover chicken and just bulking up with potatoes and veg as well. So the next night I'm actually prepping this in the morning, and it's going to be a slow cooker lasagna, so Alistair will serve it up to the children later when I'm not around. If you'd like to see a recipe on this on a standalone video, I can do that for you, but it's pretty basic. I do like to start off browning everything on the hob before I add it to the slow cooker, and I just layer it like I would a normal lasagna, mince, lasagna sheets, and then some of this white sauce. So I made my roux, I've added nutmeg and a bay leaf and my grated cheese, and then I just layered on top of the lasagna. And this takes usually about 3 to 4 hours on a low heat. I top it with my cheese, and I definitely like finishing it off under the grill just to get that golden bubbly kind of feel that you do get in the oven. Alistair will serve it with this mixed salad, and I've put a mustard dressing on the side and then some garlic bread as well. So very cost effective dinner and easy one to prep. And then finally, this is just me and Alistair. We are going to have some Gresham duck breasts. These are actually supermarket bought for £6. I've got the griddle ready there with a little bit of oil and seasoning. So I'm going to score the front of the fatty end of the duck breast, and then I put it face down, making sure that I'm getting it completely seared, and I will do that on the other side as well. So really just about 4 to 5 minutes on the griddle pan. And then as you can see, it drains lots of the duck fat. I pop it into a casserole dish, and I'm going to finish this off in the oven. It depends what way you like it done. I actually really like my duck almost well done, and you don't get that often in restaurants. And then I'm going to reserve all this duck fat, and this will make the most amazing roast duck fat potatoes or chips, so I can keep that aside for a few days. I've got plums, a shallot, some beef stock, a little bit of red wine, and some demerara sugar, and I'm going to make a really nice punchy plum sauce just to perk up the duck breasts because they can be quite bland. So this is very straightforward, but you do need to watch the heat. I finally diced some shallots, and then I'm just sauteing them down. You don't want them to brown. I add in the sliced plums. I've kept the skin on, and then about 50 grams of the demerara sugar. Make sure to give it a mix because you don't want it to caramelize. And then 50 to 70 mils of the red wine, and I have 300 mils of beef stock in total, but I usually go in with 200 and see how the fruit breaks down and what the flavoring's like before I add the rest. This takes about 20 minutes on the hob. Just let it simmer away, giving it a stir, and then as you will see, it actually does get glossy and thickens up, but you do want it to be you don't want it to be very gravy like, so take it off the heat. With the duck breasts, they're now cooked. I'm leaving there for 10 minutes, and they will continue to cook through before I start slicing them up. And like I said, you cook them to your own taste. and I've got all my plates heated and ready. The kids are in bed sleeping, so it's time for us to dish up and have something we can enjoy without the kids. So I have went for sides. I've done some mashed potatoes and then just simple buttered cabbage with pepper. I've sliced all the duck, you can see slightly pink but mainly well done, and then a little bit of the plum sauce. It's very rich and very punchy, so a little bit with the jus dribbled over the top, and this came in at roughly about £10, so definitely a fraction of the cost of the restaurant. So that's everything that we had for the week. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up and a comment down below if you did. And if you're already subscribed, even hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so that you can see when these videos pop up. I'm going to try and make them most weeks for you, as long as it's varied content. And yeah, thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you in my next video.